You grow up in Nogales, the Mexican side, close enough to the border that you can see the fence from your roof. Your mother sells tamales from a cart. Your father drives a delivery truck for a bottled water company. He crosses the border twice a week with legal cargo and comes home smelling like diesel and paperwork. You grow up watching him navigate checkpoints. He knows every agent's name. He knows which lanes move fast and which ones pull you aside. He knows that a clean truck with proper documents and a calm face gets waved through 99 times out of 100. You don't realize it yet, but you're memorizing the most valuable skill set in Sinaloa: logistics. You're average in school, not dumb, not driven. The kind of kid teachers forget by the next semester. You graduate because your mother would cry if you didn't. You get a job at a freight company. Paperwork. Bills of lading. Customs declarations. Shipping manifests. Mind-numbing work that pays enough to split rent with two cousins in a concrete apartment. You're 20, and your biggest skill is knowing how to move things from one place to another and make the paperwork match. That's not a career. In this city, it's a resume. A guy named Ochoa finds you the way they always find people. Through someone who knows someone. A cousin's friend. A friend's uncle. He takes you to lunch. Nice restaurant. White tablecloth. He's polite. Doesn't mention drugs. He says he runs an import-export company that needs help with cross-border logistics. Agricultural equipment. Auto parts. He says the work is legal, but the hours are long and the pay is cash. $3,000 a month. Your freight company pays $600. He gives you a day to think about it. You don't need a day. You need about 30 seconds. But you wait until the next morning to call because you don't want to look desperate. You are desperate. You just don't want to look it. First week is exactly what he described. You process shipments, agricultural equipment, auto parts, real products moving through real channels with real paperwork. You reconcile invoices. You schedule trucks. It's boring. It's legitimate. By week 3, you notice the pattern. Every 5th shipment has a different weight than what's on the manifest. Not by a lot. 40, maybe 60 kilos heavier. The documents match. The seals match. But the truck sits lower on its suspension by about half an inch. You notice because your father taught you to read a truck the way other fathers teach their kids to read a clock. You don't say anything. You process the paperwork like everything else. Ochoa notices that you noticed and didn't ask. That's your second interview. You pass. Month 2. Ochoa takes you to a warehouse outside the city. Not the clean one with the office and the coffee machine. A different one. Concrete block, tin roof. 3 guys with scales and heat sealers working under fluorescent lights. The agricultural equipment is real. The auto parts are real. The 40 to 60 extra kilos in every 5th shipment are methamphetamine packed inside the hollow frames of tractor attachments and sealed with factory spec paint so the welds look original. You watch them work. It's manufacturing. Assembly line. Quality control. Nobody's snorting anything off a mirror. They're wearing gloves and checking measurements with calipers. Ochoa asks if you have questions. You have 100. You ask 1. How do we avoid the canines? He smiles. That's when you know you used the word we. He explains the system. The dogs are trained on specific chemical signatures. The product gets triple vacuum sealed, then wiped with a solvent that neutralizes surface residue. The sealed packages go inside the equipment frames, which get sealed again with industrial adhesive. Then the whole unit gets sprayed with a petroleum-based coating that smells like machine grease. To a dog, it's just equipment. To an X-ray, it's just metal. The only way to find it is to disassemble the cargo piece by piece. And nobody disassembles a legal shipment with matching paperwork from a company that's been crossing the border for 6 years without a single flag. You're not smuggling drugs across the border. You're shipping office supplies with a secret drawer. Your job evolves. You become the route manager. You don't touch product. You don't drive trucks. You plan. You schedule. You solve problems. Ochoa gives you a map of the border region and tells you to learn it the way a pilot learns airspace. You study crossing points, traffic patterns, shift changes at checkpoints, which lanes use X-ray and which don't, which agents are thorough and which ones are running out the clock. You build a calendar. Tuesdays and Thursdays are best. Morning shifts between 6 and 9 a.m. move fastest because the agents are still waking up and the commercial traffic is heaviest. You never send 2 shipments through the same crossing in the same week. You rotate between Nogales, Lukeville, and San Luis. 3 ports, 3 identities, 3 sets of paperwork, each one clean enough to frame on a wall. The product hits U.S. soil, and your job gets more complicated. The receiving side is a network of stash houses in Phoenix, Tucson, and Las Vegas. Each one looks like a normal residence: suburban, lawn, garage. The neighbors see a quiet family that keeps to themselves. Inside, the garage has a false wall. Behind the wall, product gets weighed, repackaged into smaller units, and handed off to local distributors who handle the last mile. You never visit the stash houses. You communicate through encrypted messages on phones that rotate every 10 days. You assign shipment codes, dates, quantities. The local crews confirm receipt with a single word: clean. That means the count matches. If the count doesn't match, a different word: short. That means someone between the warehouse and the stash house skimmed. Short is the worst word in your vocabulary. Worse than any threat, because it means the math is broken and someone's going to answer for it. You handle your first shortage at month 4. A Phoenix stash house reports 3 kilos light on a 50-kilo delivery. The driver swears the count was correct when he loaded. The stash house manager swears it was short when he opened it. Someone is lying. Ochoa tells you to figure it out, not to punish anyone, to fix the system. You review the route. The driver stopped for gas in Casa Grande. 22 minutes, longer than necessary. You check security camera footage from the gas station. Ochoa has people who can pull that. You see the driver open the rear doors. He's alone. He closes them 4 minutes later. He took 3 kilos and stashed them somewhere between Casa Grande and Phoenix. You report this to Ochoa. You hand him the timestamps and the footage. You don't ask what happens to the driver. You find out anyway. The driver's cousin calls the warehouse looking for him 2 weeks later. Nobody takes the call. You adjust the protocol. All drivers now carry a GPS-enabled phone that pings every 60 seconds. Any stop longer than 8 minutes that isn't pre-approved triggers an alert. The system never comes up short again. You build redundancy into everything. 3 suppliers for each precursor. 2 backup routes for every crossing. A rotation of 14 drivers who never meet each other. A communication system with 4 layers of encryption and a dead man switch that wipes every device if a specific phrase isn't entered every 48 hours. You think in supply chains. Bottlenecks, failure points, contingency. You're doing the exact same work your freight company trained you for. Inventory management, route optimization, loss prevention. The product is different. The spreadsheet is the same. You're pulling $10,000 a month now. You move out of the apartment with your cousins. You rent a small house. Nothing flashy. You buy your mother a new cart. Better wheels. Insulated compartment to keep the tamales warm. You send your father money for truck maintenance. They don't ask where it comes from. In Nogales, people don't ask about money the way they don't ask about the weather. It's just there. Sometimes it rains. Sometimes it doesn't. Ochoa calls you to a meeting. There's a man at the table you haven't seen before. American. Suit. No tie. He represents the buyers. Wholesale. He's purchasing 200 kilos a month for distribution across the Southwest. He talks about the product the way a grocery chain buyer talks about produce. Volume. Consistency. Delivery windows. He wants a fixed schedule. First and third Tuesday of every month. He wants tracking updates. He wants a point of contact for quality complaints. He's building a subscription service for methamphetamine. You're his account manager. You shake his hand. His palm is dry. Yours isn't. The volume increase means new problems. More drivers, more routes, more stash houses, more points of failure. You need a team. Ochoa lets you hire. You pick carefully. Not tough guys, not soldiers. Quiet people who understand numbers and don't talk. A woman named Carla, who used to work dispatch at a taxi company. She manages the driver rotation and GPS tracking. A kid named Beto, who dropped out of engineering school. He handles the communication system and device rotation. A retired customs broker named Don Fausto, who knows every port regulation on both sides of the border and builds your paperwork. Your crew doesn't carry guns. They carry phones and notebooks. You're the least intimidating unit in the cartel. You're also the most profitable. 18 months in, you're moving 200 kilos a month across the border with a 98.5% delivery rate. The 1.5% loss is weather delays and mechanical breakdowns. Not theft, not seizures. You've never lost a shipment to law enforcement, not once. Ochoa tells you the organization's total distribution has increased by 40% since you took over the corridor. He says this the way a CEO reads a quarterly earnings report. He's proud. You realize with a dull nausea that you're proud too. Then a city called Cedar Falls enters your life. You've never heard of it. Small town in Arizona. 9,000 people. It's on the distribution map as a tertiary market. Low volume. One local dealer handles the whole town. You never think about tertiary markets. The numbers are too small to matter. Then, Ochoa forwards you a news article. A 15-year-old girl in Cedar Falls overdosed in her parents' bathroom. Methamphetamine laced with fentanyl. Died before the paramedics arrived. The fentanyl wasn't yours. Your product is clean. But the meth was. You know because Cedar Falls is supplied by a Phoenix distributor who receives exclusively from your corridor. The batch number in the article matches a shipment you logged 6 weeks ago. You trace it backward. Your warehouse. Your driver. Your route. Your paperwork. Your schedule. A 15-year-old girl is dead, and you can map the supply chain from her bloodstream to your desk. You close the article. You open your laptop. You have a shipment to schedule for Tuesday. You tell yourself what everyone in this business tells themselves. Your logistics. You don't make the product. You don't sell it on the street. You don't force anyone to use it. You just move boxes from one place to another. The same thing FedEx does. The same thing your father did with his water truck. You're just a driver who doesn't drive. You almost believe it. But you keep a screenshot of that article in a folder on your phone. You don't know why. You look at it sometimes at night. The girl's school photo, braces, soccer jersey. You look at it, and then you check Tuesday's shipment schedule and make sure the GPS pings are green. Both things happen in the same 5 minutes. The distance between them used to feel like an ocean. Now it feels like a hallway. The DEA starts circling. Not you directly. The Phoenix stash houses. A local distributor gets arrested. Then another. Then a driver misses his 48-hour check-in, and every device in the network wipes automatically. Your dead man switch works perfectly. Months of evidence erased in 9 seconds. But the arrests keep coming. Someone in Phoenix is talking. The stash house addresses are burning one by one. Ochoa moves the operation to Tucson. You rebuild the network in 2 weeks. New houses, new drivers, new routes. You've done this before. You can do it in your sleep. Then Ochoa disappears. No arrest. No news. Just gone. His phone goes dead on a Wednesday. By Thursday, a man named Zamora is sitting in Ochoa's chair. Younger. Colder. He tells you nothing changes. Production continues. Distribution continues. You answer to him now. You've heard this script before. You know what comes next. New management cleans house. Consolidates. Removes anyone whose loyalty belongs to the old boss. Zamora calls you to a meeting. He asks you to explain the distribution network. All of it. Routes, drivers, stash houses, communication protocols. He wants it on paper. You've never put anything on paper. Everything lives in your head. That's by design. That's your insurance. The moment the network exists on paper, you're replaceable. You tell Zamora you'll prepare a summary. You go home. You sit at your kitchen table. You think about Ochoa. You think about the driver from Casa Grande who nobody ever found. You think about the girl in Cedar Falls. You call a number, not Zamora's. A number you were given 8 months ago by a man who identified himself as a federal agent at a gas station in Lukeville. He approached you while you were checking a route, handed you a card, said to call if you ever wanted out. You memorized the number and threw the card in the trash. You didn't think about it again until tonight. The agent picks up on the second ring. You talk for 40 minutes. You give him everything. Routes, stash houses, GPS protocols, driver rotations, warehouse locations, crossing schedules, the American buyer in the suit with dry palms, Zamora's name and location. You give him 18 months of distribution architecture that took you 2 years to build, dismantled in a phone call. The raids are coordinated. Arizona, Nevada, Sonora. 41 arrests, 14 stash houses seized, 380 kilos of product recovered, $22 million in cash. Zamora is arrested at a restaurant in Hermosillo. He's eating lunch. Carla gets picked up at her apartment. So does Beto. Don Fausto crosses into Guatemala before anyone knocks on his door. He planned his own exit years ago. Smart man. They relocate you, small town in Colorado, mountain air, pine trees, a rented apartment above a hardware store. The DEA sets you up with a job at a shipping company. You process bills of lading, customs declarations, shipping manifests. The same work you did at 20. The same desk. The same boredom. The product moving through the system is car parts and farm equipment. Real ones this time. You check the weights anyway. Old habit. Everything matches. You log it and move on. Your mother thinks you got transferred to a new office. You call her on Sundays. She tells you about the tamale cart. Business is good. The new wheels you bought her are holding up. She says she's proud. You listen. You say thank you. You keep a notebook at home. Not molecules like a chemist. Maps. You draw routes. Highways. Border crossings. Delivery points. You draw the network you built, and then you draw it again with the failures removed. Better routes. Fewer stops. Tighter windows. You can't stop optimizing a system that no longer exists. The cartel doesn't run on violence. Violence is just the HR department. It runs on logistics. Someone has to move the product from the lab to the street. Someone has to schedule the trucks and rotate the phones and make the paperwork match. The guys with the guns make the news. The guy with the spreadsheet makes it possible. And when it all comes down, he gets a desk at a shipping company and a notebook full of routes to nowhere. That's a wrap for today. This story is fiction, but somewhere right now, a kid at a freight company is looking at a manifest that's 40 kilos heavier than it should be. He noticed. He's deciding whether to ask. If this one made you think, drop a comment. Subscribe for more. See you in the next one.